Shields up, Iron Breakers. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully you guys are all having a good time. Today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We are doing a Kast, and I will be doing live news for you guys. That is at least the intention. Because I just feel like I want to talk about a bunch of stuff, and you know, I didn't want it to have to do individual videos for all these topics, particularly because I know that a big portion of the audience is mostly interested in Monster Hunter World stuff and whatnot. So the main news topic that I want to talk about is definitely the Devil May Cry 5 stuff, but there's a bunch of more things. There's a bunch more things that we're gonna get to. So stick with me. Stick with me, you guys. Paven B, I came here for fake news. You're in the right place, sir. Welcome. Welcome to the fake news. Fake News Network. Maurice Rat, what is up? Johnny Sondergaard, have you heard that Capcom are doing Arch-Tempered Zora Magdaros? Yes, as a matter of fact, that is one of the topics that I will be talking about, only briefly, because I've already recorded a full video that I will be giving you guys later tonight if everything goes according to plan. No World of Warcraft. I mean, there really aren't that many news in regards to World of Warcraft because Ian was a little bit vague on a lot of stuff. It's like, the war campaign's continuing, and here's a new raid, and here's some heritage armor for dwarves and blood elves. And I was like, oh, heritage armor for dwarves. I like that. That sounds like a good idea. I think I should definitely do that. Heritage armor for dwarves. Zethus, microtransactions fill me with a sense of pride and accomplishment. Well, let me tell you something. Microtransactions fill you with something, all right. Kegger and Shields up. All right, people. All right, let's get started. So first, I'd like to give a little bit of a highlight onto something, which is, you know, recently I did a poll on YouTube. It's got 3,000 votes. I'm not sure if you guys can see it appropriately because, like, YouTube polls on desktop, they're so brightly white that it's like you can barely see the percentage of people that voted on it. But I've had a lot of people tell me, Rurikhan, you should play Destiny 2 because of the Forsaken expansion. By the way, PlayStation Portugal actually sent me a code to the Forsaken expansion, so I don't even have to buy it to play it. I already have it. And thank you to PlayStation Portugal for continuing to support my channel. I really, really appreciate it. But anyway, I basically made a poll saying, several of you have been asking me to get back into Destiny 2. Should I really jump back in there and stream it? Hell yes, 23%. Hell no, 77%. 77. Also, the music is getting a little bit loud. This is the first time that I'm using this particular background music, so bear with me as I adapt on the fly to it. Because the idea is that there's just a little bit of background music to make the video just flow a little bit better, just like chilling. Is Destiny the dog, son, rat, etc. game? Yes, it is, Paven B. It's exactly the one. Tommy Karatzikos. $200 later, the game is saved. Trevian, Destiny 2 had its chance. It blew it. Wow. I might still play it, I gotta be honest, because I am curious. The problem is I still like Destiny gameplay, so I'm a little bit of a sucker for it. But ultimately, I am still very frustrated. There's a bunch of comments on this poll as well. Kind of sick and tired of Bungie and all the shit they've pulled with Destiny 2. I freaking pre-ordered digital deluxe edition of the game, only realized a year later the version I got doesn't include all the DLC like a normal season pass would. Fucking done with this company. Fuck no. Support a company that deserves your views instead of these pricks. Shouldn't have to explain why. Hell no, I'd rather see more Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate Mix Set content, which I want to do, just haven't had a lot of time to play it. Hell no, it's interesting at the moment, but honestly, don't put yourself on the suffering line. Not even subbed. Why is this on my feed? Interesting that YouTube is able to push out their community notifications when it cannot push out the fucking videos. Hell no, Destiny 2 is boring to watch. Hell no, don't be daft. But yeah, a bunch of people don't really want me to play that. Anyways, I just wanted to bring this up to kind of warm things up with the live stream, because I do want to eventually play a little bit of Destiny, but most people really don't. 07 Trot, Bungie are bags of scum. Okay. Okay. Destiny 2 is all about the weapon perk rolls and armor perk rolls. Yeah, that's something. You seen the release date table for Anthem? No, I actually haven't. I'll take a look at it after the rest of the news that I have to go through. Anyway, you guys were asking me about the Monster Hunter stuff, and yes, I was made aware of it. And like I said, I actually already recorded a video that I'll be going into more detail onto these particular news later. But we're going to be getting Arch-Tempered Lunastra immediately after the Harvest event, and we're going to be getting Arch-Tempered Zora Magdaros after that, I would assume. I'm actually pretty excited about these two Arch-Tempered monsters because the possibilities that we get with their sets. And then we got a New Horizons Zero Dawn quest will be on its way. The Heart of the Nora rewards are the Aloy Gamma full armor set, layered armor. You're going to be fighting a giant Devil Joe and a miniature Devil Joe. Okay? Anyway, let's go on to the main topic, shall we? The main topic of this video, and one of the main things that I really want to talk about, is definitely what we've heard about Devil May Cry 5 at the Tokyo Game Show, and I cannot express how disappointed I am about this particular bit of news. Now, in order to give you guys a bit of background, I'm not super mega hyper into Devil May Cry. I do like Devil May Cry as a game. I've played DMC, and I really like DMC, by the way. I know that a lot of people don't like DMC. The one that was made, was it Ninja Theory? I think it was Ninja Theory, right? They're the ones who did DMC. But I played that one. I love that one. I played Devil May Cry 4. I didn't like the part where you got to that one point, and then it's like, oh, now here's Dante, and now do everything that you did before, but in reverse. And I was like, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy. If you think I'm going to go through the whole game again in reverse order, that's just not going to happen. So yeah, I did enjoy it up until that point, up until the point where like, oh, now we're going to recycle all the content that you did up until this point. And that completely, instantly burned me out. I did like one boss and I was like, I'm out. But anyways, Devil May Cry 5 is looking pretty good. I love the stuff that I'm seeing. As a matter of fact, I'm already entering that stage where I'm starting to go onto media blackout to avoid spoilers and stuff like that. As Homu Homu says, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition already has orbs to buy, and spending money on that is a complete waste, but that's the thing. That's the thing. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a complete waste. If it's a complete waste, why the fuck is it there in the first place? You know, that's the thing. It's either bad for the consumers that actually spend money on it, or it's bad for you if it's not a waste and you just feel like you got to get it, or it's bad for you if you have problems with microtransactions, which some people do have, and they just feel like they have to buy everything. And yeah, it's kind of dumb. Either way, Devil May Cry 5 lets you spend real money to upgrade characters. Can you afford the orbs? This is an article by GameSpot. I believe they were the first ones to report on this particular situation. Basically, they were playing the demo of Devil May Cry 5 while they were at the Tokyo Game Show. The demo shown behind closed doors is featuring Dante, who is the original star of the series, even though he's like a secondary character on this particular game, because Nero is the main character, dude with a mechanical arm and all the crazy shit you can do with that mechanical arm. During our demo, we encountered the Divinity statue, which acts as a shop where you can trade in orbs collected during combat and exploration. And in that menu, we discovered that players will have the option to spend real money to accrue more orbs if they wish to expedite the upgrade process and beef up Dante earlier than usual. So the usual stuff that you can get sometimes in certain single-player games that do it. And it's a disgusting practice, make no mistake. I love Capcom. I really do love Capcom. This right here is a disgusting practice. Okay? And again, this is someone who is biased towards Capcom games. And I'm saying this. So, continuing onwards. Speaking to Hideaki Itsuno, director of the game from Capcom. We asked why this system is necessary in a game like Devil May Cry 5, and the reason given was a familiar one. It's about giving players options to play the game as they wish. With giving people the ability to purchase red orbs, it's something we want to give people as an option. If they want to save time and just want to get all the stuff at once, those people can do that. But on the other hand, I don't feel you have to get all the moves. You should be able to play it the way you want to play it. Now, before we move on, I'm going to be bringing in another game that said the exact same thing. The reason I'm bringing in this other game is because this was a game that I was super hyped about playing. Okay? As a matter of fact, I was so hyped about playing this game that I did a full playthrough of it in advance of that game coming out. And spoiler warning, I never fucking played the actual game because I was so appalled by what they were doing with microtransactions. That game was Middle-earth: Shadow of War. They too, when they came out with the game, they were like, oh yeah, we want to give players options, like if you want to buy orcs, if you just want to be able to get stuff, if you just want to be able to get stuff faster, if you want to unlock things faster, we're totally going to give it to you. And it's your choice. It's all about the player choice. That's what it always is. When it comes to these loot boxes and microtransactions, it's not even loot boxes. I'm bringing up loot boxes. Careful. It's not loot boxes. It's direct microtransactions. Let's not mix things up. But in this particular case, it was loot boxes, the Middle-earth: Shadow of War stuff. And here's what they had to say after having this system in place on the game for, I believe, over a year or maybe 2 years. I don't know how long they had this thing up there. But basically what they had to say was the core promise of the Nemesis system is the ability to build relationships with your personal allies and enemies in a dynamic open world, explained developer Monolith. While purchasing orcs in the market is more immediate, or purchasing orbs in the market, if you're talking about Devil May Cry, is more immediate and provides additional player options, we have come to realize that providing this choice risks undermining the heart of our game, the Nemesis system. It allows you to miss out on the awesome player stories you would have otherwise created. This is not as relevant for Devil May Cry if you didn't buy anything. Simply being aware that they are available for purchase reduces the immersion in the world and takes away from the challenge of building your personal army and your fortresses. In order to fully restore the core promise of the Nemesis system, we'll be permanently removing gold, war chests, and the market from Shadow of War. This means the option to purchase gold with real money and the ability to gain orc followers from war chests will be removed. There will be a specific amount of time given for players to utilize their unused gold. If players have unused gold by the end of the time allotted to spend it, any remaining gold will be converted into in-game items. So basically, we have a developer that has already experienced this, and their community hated it. There was not a single person that came out there saying, you know what I really like about Shadow of War? I like buying those fucking orcs, man. I love that aspect of the game. Not one person. Not one. And if there was one person that actually said that, he probably needs to be beat up in the head with a blunt object so that he can actually get his fucking head straight. By the way, I do not advocate for violence. Do not quote me out of context. And please, YouTube, do not demonetize my video. Thank you very much. Anyways, continuing onwards. It was a bit surprising to discover that such a feature exists in Devil May Cry 5, but it's not the first game in the features to feature them. They're also part of Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, as we mentioned by Homu Homu earlier in chat. We also asked Itsuno about how the presence of microtransactions will impact the learning process of playing the next Devil May Cry, as our experience with these types of action games has taught us that gradually unlocking and learning new abilities is a far more natural means of developing your skills and earning higher performance ranks in battle. Not to mention that it just feels better not to have that pressure in there. You know, not going up into the shop where you can buy your skills and having something in there just saying, hey, guess what? You can buy this skill right now for real money if you wanted to. I can imagine if they had done something like that on, say, for instance, Horizon Zero Dawn, that would have pissed me off quite a bit. That would have pissed me off to the point where I might have not even finished the game and consider it to be one of the best games I've ever played. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. It also had skills and the natural progression of skills and how it all worked. It was great. It was great. And whenever you put something like this that interferes with the progression of skills of a video game, it's just a bad fucking idea. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just a bad fucking idea. It's interesting because from a game design point of view, there's two different things we think about when we set the prices for the moves. Skills and abilities, which can be purchased with red orbs, he explained. The first thing is the stuff that we feel people want to get first is made cheaper. So people will think, oh, this is cheap, I'm just going to go ahead and buy this. But then for the stuff that's going to be harder to use and master, we make that more expensive, partially because if you save up for that, you're not going to be able to buy as many skills. So if you're going to have the time, you're going to have time to learn it. Now, let me put this into a simpler comparison that some of you guys might understand a little bit better. So let's think of the skills in Devil May Cry as weapons in Monster Hunter World. So basically what they're saying here is that it'll be pretty easy for you to buy access with red orbs to the sword and shield, the dual blades, the maybe not the long sword. You know, sword and shield, dual blades, long sword. Those will be easy to buy into. But then when you're talking about the charge blade, the insect glaive, the gun lance, the switch axe, those are going to be a little bit more expensive because they're more complex to use. It's the same thing, except instead of the weapons in Monster Hunter, you're talking about skills in the game. So basically, when you get to the more complex skills, those are going to be more expensive for you to use. And I already see a lot of people in chat saying, to be honest, just use a trainer, just use cheat engine and unlock all that stuff. That's all fine and dandy if you're on the PC or if you're on the consoles. The fuck are you going to do? You just dicked? That's how it works? Not to mention that I don't like the idea of using cheat engine to do shit like that. Just a personal point. I don't think that should even be something that we should have to be concerned about. But anyway, I completely disagree with this. I think this is a terrible move by Capcom, it's extremely weird for me that Capcom would do something like this if you take into consideration how good Capcom has been about being pro-consumer with Monster Hunter World. Like, there is not a single argument that anyone can make about Monster Hunter World not being pro-consumer. We've been getting tons and tons of DLC for free. We're going to be getting more DLC. We've been getting it since fucking January. Free DLC. And you guys are like, oh yeah, but it's just a couple of gameplay things here and there, a couple of monsters here and there. Yeah. That we're all getting for free. And to top it off, despite the fact that Monster Hunter World sells cosmetic items, which is fine, by the way. As a matter of fact, I need to buy those dances that we got back in the Spring Festival. I still haven't bought those, but they sell a bunch of cosmetic items and a bunch of cosmetic emotes and stuff like that, right? On top of that, amidst all of the DLC that we've gotten, we've also gotten free cosmetic items. Capcom has literally set the bar of pro-consumerism with Monster Hunter World in my book. Because not only the game does have those microtransactions for cosmetic items only, but at the same time, it actually gives you a lot of really cool cosmetic items. Okay? So it is completely mind-boggling that Capcom would do this for Devil May Cry. I really don't understand it. I think that's crazy. And I think that whatever studio is working on Devil May Cry 5, their marketing department needs to go learn a thing or two from the marketing department of Monster Hunter World. Okay? You guys need to go back to the drawing board. You need to go to the part where it says, oh, by the way, this orb equals this amount of dollars. You need to just scrap that. And scrap that. Just get rid of the dollar bits on orbs and all that. Just forget about that shit. Forget that shit even existed. Okay? And that's how you actually move forward. Anyways, continuing on, there was another article that talked about this in Dual Shockers. And this is actually a good thing that they've done this article because I want to talk about this stuff. This recently come to public attention. Devil May Cry 5 includes microtransactions that let you purchase red orbs. Red orbs can be used in the game to acquire new skills and progress your character. In addition to what reported by GameSpot, we can also add through our own observation when we tested the game that they can be used to revive in the same place if you get defeated. So right here is something that I'm very concerned about. So what you're saying is that I can essentially pay to be able to get revived on the spot like a fucking mobile game. Like a fucking mobile game, dude. What the fuck? This is some Candy Crush level of bullshit. Okay? It's like, oh yeah, here's $3 for 5 more lives. Or something like that. Trevian, it's player choice. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Anyways, so these guys played the game and they calculated how many orbs can be earned by simply playing the level featuring Dante when it was showcased at the Tokyo Game Show. Anyways, I'm going to skip through a lot of these. But basically, what they said is, on top of that, a rather crappy B rank provided nearly 20,000 orbs. This means that a single level played by a scrub like me can easily net you over 40,000 orbs in the current build. Finishing with a higher rank can, if you're extremely good, which I am not, earn twice that post-mission bonus, pushing you around 60,000 orbs. Of course, you also need to know how many orbs you spend in order to correctly quantify their value. The revive feature costs 1,500 orbs if you only want 30% of your life back, 3,000 points if you want 100% of your initial non-upgraded life, 7,500 if you want every bit of it, upgraded life included. That's almost 1/4 of how many orbs you gain in the thing. It's not even close to 1/4 actually. It's more like, I don't know, a fifth, whatever. Either way, second time use a revive in the same mission, those values grow to 7,500, 15,000, 37,500. If you don't want to spend orbs, you can simply go back to the latest checkpoint. Most abilities I saw in the progression menu cost between 8,000 and 10,000 orbs at tier 1. And the tier 2 ability I saw costs 20,000 orbs. So I would assume the top ability of one of the available lines that I saw cost 3,500. I would expect 35,000. I would expect it to be like anywhere between 30,000 to 50,000. And then there's one specific exception, which is the top ability of another line, which costs a whopping 3 million orbs. It's not an attack used in combat. This is probably some kind of an emote or something that you can do. I've heard people say it's probably a taunt. This one's, at least from what I can see, an exception regarding price, and everything else I saw was much, much more affordable. So here's the thing. This is the big problem whenever you have something like this. Whenever you have something that is, that can make money directly translate into in-game power, there's always the temptation for the developer to balance their shit around the monetary economy that they've placed in game. This was also a fact in Shadow of War, when the developers themselves tweaked all kinds of values across the board. They had to do it when they removed the microtransactions. They literally had to change a bunch of shit in the game so that players would be able to actually play through the game without buying anything. Meaning basically that this whole, it's player choice, it's a bunch of bullshit. At least in the case of Shadow of War. Whether it's going to be a bunch of bullshit for Devil May Cry remains to be seen. But in my opinion, it is going to be a bunch of bullshit, because it doesn't matter whether or not you're going to say, oh, but it's a player choice and it's this and that and the other. Your marketing department's going to be like, oh yeah, just tweak that knob just a little bit more. Just a little bit more to the right. Tweak that knob. Oh, right there. Oh, yeah. That's what your advertisement department, what your marketing department, that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like straight up, come on, just twist that knob just a little bit more. Just make players receive like 10% less orbs. 30% less orbs. Come on, baby, do it. They're like fapping off to this shit in their office. They're going like, yeah. That's what they're doing. And it's like, I'm sorry. I don't trust any developer with those dials. Like Capcom, love you guys to death. Love Monster Hunter. Love Dragon's Dogma. love a lot of the titles that you guys work on. Don't do this. Just like, seriously, do not fucking do this. This is dumb. There's no way that this is not going to be exploited in some way or another. There's no way. And here's the thing. Here's let's just even say, okay, for the sake of argument, okay, let's say that you guys will not exploit this at all. Let's say that I trust you guys to not exploit this at all. Let's say that it is in fact player choice and the game is completely playable through beginning to end. You never have to use this. You never have to buy red orbs. For the sake of argument, let's say that's the case. Okay? Let's say that the game is perfectly balanced and nobody will ever have to use that in order to get access to the later abilities. Nobody will ever even feel the need to use any of this stuff. Okay, let's say that is the case. Again, for the sake of argument, let me tell you, every single player, when they go onto that shop and they look at that shop and they see the real money options there, they're gonna feel like shit. Your player base, even if this is not necessary, just even if you're 100% legit about it, doesn't matter, okay? Every player that goes into that shop is going to feel like shit. They're going to go into that shop and they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Did I buy a fucking mobile game? Is my progress being gated behind the fucking paywall? That's the legit feeling that you're going to give to every single player that will play this game. Why even have that? Why even have that thing in there if that's what it's going to make players feel like? If players are going to be feeling like they're getting nickel and dimed, why even have that feature there? Why even take that chance? You yourself said it. It's like, it's not, you don't need it. Then why even have it there? Anyway, once again, I want to finish this particular news topic by saying, Capcom, I fucking love you guys. Don't fucking do this. Just don't fucking do it. It's a bad idea. And your player base will hate you for it. And you will have a lot of influencers just completely doing shit like what I'm doing right now, being upset about it because we've been getting exploited. We've been getting exploited repeatedly in this industry. And stuff like this is stuff that a majority of us will never tolerate, and we do not want this. Moving onwards. Moving to the next topic. Telltale Games begins majority studio closure. Now let me get up ahead of this particular bit of news by saying I am not a Telltale Games fan. I've seen quite a few of their games being played. I've played some of them myself. Can't really say I care for them all that much because it always seemed to me that it's like their promise is like every choice you make matters. Everything you do matters and it's super important in the grand scheme of things. But ultimately what they tend to do is like, actually, let me pull up Paint. This is going to be very impromptu. But let me pull up Paint. I don't usually do this shit. I haven't even used Paint in ages. But anyways, let's say that a Telltale game usually starts like this, right? Wait, can I make this brush a little bit thicker? I have no idea. Wait, size. There we go. Yeah. That's the shit right there. Every Telltale game begins like that, right? And then let's say, okay, here's a choice. And you're like, okay, I can go this way or this way. Then you move onwards. And it's like, oh, here's another choice. And here's another choice. And that's great. But ultimately, what always happens in these games, you can have like an infinite amount of choices. But eventually, it's like this choice will lead you to here. This choice will lead you to here. This choice will lead you to here, here. And it finishes like this. So it's like, yeah, sure, there's a couple of choices here and there that changes. Story will usually end up here. That's my experience with these games. And then it moves on to the next chapter where, again, they'll split it off again, and then eventually just gather it all back into the same place. That's the way that I feel that these things go. Okay? And here's the problem with that. Like, that can be fun for a couple of games. Then the other thing that you have is the fact that you guys basically, you coined this engine of yours, right? Which actually looked pretty good when The Walking Dead came out. At least in my opinion, it looked pretty decent. And then you guys pimped out that engine across 100,000 million different games. Okay, we're talking about if there's any kind of franchise under the sun, you guys will make a Telltale Games about it. Like, just think of anything. What, Batman? They've done that. Game of Thrones, they've done that. I don't know, dude, there's like thousands of it seemed like at one point it was everything. Like when they suddenly said, oh yeah, we're also doing a Borderlands game, and I was like, what the fuck? And there's like, oh yeah, also Guardians of the Galaxy. What? Oh, and also Minecraft. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you guys literally cranked out this formula of yours, and you just like scattershot approach the fuck out of it. You're just like, oh, what is like the big thing right now? Boom! Shotgun blast to that. What's the next? Batman's hot right now? Boom! Batman game. Was that Game of Thrones is getting real hot? Boom! Game of Thrones game. Was that Guardians of the Galaxy? Boom! Guardians of the Galaxy. Borderlands? Boom! Borderlands. It's like, you can't do that. You can't fucking just, oh, we have this one engine and we build all the games with it. All of the games with it. That is crazy, dude, because people see right through it. They're like, all of these games that you're releasing, like this Batman game, this Minecraft game, this Game of Thrones game, they're all Walking Dead with a different skin. That's all it is. It's Walking Dead with a different fucking skin. There's nothing else to your engine. I'm sorry, Telltale. I hate the fact that another studio is closing down in the gaming industry. It's bad for everyone. But the simple facts here are, you guys kind of had it coming. I mean, you guys are just like pushing this nonstop. Just like, we do all the games. All the games, all the time. You can't do that. Can't fucking do that. Anyways, at the time that they wrote this article, this was just a rumor, and then there was a confirmation. Telltale sent Kotaku a statement confirming that all but 25 employees were let go from the studio as part of a majority studio closure following a year marked by insurmountable challenges. The small group that remains will fulfill the company's obligations to its board and partners. So basically, these 25 people that are left, they're doing slave labor right now. That's what's happening. These 25 people right now, they're doing the workload of 250. I can't even imagine being either one of the people that was fired over this bullshit or one of the 25 people, because it sucks for both groups right now. Because the 25 people are going to stay there because they need that paycheck. They're going to be worked like slaves, and then they're going to be let go just like everybody else, which fucking sucks. It's been an incredibly difficult year for Telltale as we work to set the company on a new course. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. You were trying to set it on a new course. You mean a different course from the scattershot approach that you had, that you wanted to create every single fucking popular thing under the sun with your mediocre engine? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. We released some of our best content this year and received a tremendous amount of positive feedback. You did? Tremendous amount of positive feedback? Where is this positive feedback? Not to mention, ultimately, that did not translate to sales. I wonder why that happened. With a heavy heart, we watch our friends leave today to spread our brand of storytelling across the games industry. Fucking keep it. I'm sorry that I'm harsh. I'm extremely sorry that I am harsh, but fucking keep your brand of storytelling. Okay? Fucking keep it to yourselves. We don't need it. I'm sorry, dude. It's like, I want good stories in my video games. I don't want this. I don't want Walking Dead times 5,000 spread on video games. Walking Dead was a fantastic game. I think they did really good by it. I don't think they should have picked that formula and just run with it for 1,000 different games. Okay? Homu says, Life is Strange did that, but they did it with better gameplay. Yeah, Life is Strange did get much better reviews than any of this Telltale shit. At least in my opinion. Most people usually tell me pretty good things about Life is Strange. I even remember having a pretty deep discussion with Duke Nukem back when I was, not Duke Nukem, Nukem Dukem. I had a pretty good discussion with Nukem Dukem back when I was still with TGN, and we were talking about games of the year, and Nukem Dukem was like, fucking Life is Strange is one of the best things ever. As for what will happen with all of Telltale's ongoing projects, the studio said it will have further comments regarding its product portfolio in the coming weeks. Original story follows, speculations about layoffs, yada, yada, yada. Now, they also talked about toxicity and crunch conditions. It doesn't really surprise me that there would be crunch conditions in something like a Telltale studio, because here's the thing. When you're working towards only really monetizing on what is popular at that time, which is essentially what they were doing. They would find popular things and they would try to predict trends that would be popular and fucking Telltale Games the fuck out of that particular trend, right? So the problem with that is that trends, they come and go. Therefore, it's like, guys, Batman's really hot right now. We need that fucking Batman game right now. And people would have to crunch to get it done. And you think higher ups give a fuck whether or not you fed your dog or whether or not your kids got enough food? Like, they don't give a fuck. You think they care whether or not you're spending enough time with your family? They don't. Just like YouTube doesn't give two shits whether or not I'm spending enough time with my family. YouTube cares about one thing, that I make Monster Hunter World videos right now. That's what YouTube cares about me and my channel. And I'm okay with that. That's just what I've chosen to do. But ultimately, that doesn't make it okay as a thing, you know? Your employees, so your employers, so to speak, should be a little bit more considerate, but basically, crunch, fucking crunch. That's what you get. It's like I kind of get crunch with YouTube as well. It's like whenever there's a big thing comes out, I'm like, well, gotta crunch out a video, gotta pump it out as fast as I possibly can if I want to stay relevant within the YouTube SEO or anything like that. But anyways, June of this year, Telltale appeared to be turning a corner, announcing a new collaboration with Netflix for a series of Stranger Things games, a deal which Variety report was 2 years in the making. At the same time, they filed a lawsuit against the studio alleging, among other things, mishandling of his financial holdings in the company, which the studio said at the time was meritless. Telltale released the first episode of The Walking Dead, the final season, in August, with the second episode scheduled to arrive. See, this is them going back to The Walking Dead. They're like, well, all these other things that we've been doing aren't really working. Let's go back to The Walking Dead, see if we can squeeze any more money out of that. Just imagine them just like a dead cow on the floor, like a dead cow, purple, the carcass dried up, and them just like trying to make the teats spew out a little bit more milk. That's what they were trying to do with their Walking Dead bullshit. But yeah, dude, it fucking sucks. Like I said, I hate the fact that Telltale is closing down, but at the same time, Telltale was running their studio like a fucking Chinese sweatshop, pumping out shit after shit. Like, there wasn't that much creativity in this studio, in my personal opinion. If you look at the games that they released, come on. Come on. Where was your creative, at least in terms of gameplay, where was your creativity there? Like, maybe your stories were a little bit creative, but you had absolutely almost no innovation from The Walking Dead to the Walking Dead final season or whatever. Every game that came in between, there might have been a couple of quick time events. I think I saw some of those in the Batman game. But other than that, you guys had nothing. What the hell? You see, this is the reason why From Software never wanted to do Dark Souls 2 and 3. They didn't want it to reach to this point. And thank God that apparently they won't be going beyond Dark Souls 3. Because this is what would have happened. At a certain point, the fans would be like, oh, fucking Dark Souls 4. Who cares? Who gives a shit? You know? Oh, it's fucking Bloodborne 2. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Because that's how it gets to. Call of Duty somehow manages to get away with it. I don't fucking know how they do it. FIFA manages to get away with it. I know why they get away with it, because, you know, soccer or football, as we call it in Europe, is still a very relevant sport. Everybody loves watching football, so everybody will always love playing FIFA. That's why FIFA gets away with it. But This, you're not going to get away with it. You're just never going to get away with it. That's how it works. Luis Silva still waiting on Bloodborne cart. Yeah. They're going to have that. They're going to have that. Okay, so this next article that I'm going to be talking about is a little bit older. This article was posted on the 12th of this month. What day is today even? Today is the 24th, so almost 2 weeks ago. But I never really did something commenting on this, and I kind of wanted to. Spider-Man's take on police feels out of touch. So this is an article by someone who's very upset over the fact that Spider-Man decided not to do some kind of social political criticism to the Oscorp towers in the game. Which, by the way, already have a negative impact because they belong to Oscorp. So there's your social political critique right there. Boom, article over. But anyways, even if they didn't already have a negative connotation to them because they're Oscorp towers, then again, maybe this person doesn't know all that much about Spider-Man. I know that I don't, which is why I don't write bullshit articles like this. But anyway, this person is upset that they didn't do social political criticism over the Oscorp towers because they look like some kind of towers that are apparently used for racial profiling or something like that in actual New York City. And I'm just thinking to myself, so what you're saying is that this game is not political enough for you. This game should have more political messages embedded in it. Then they also talk about how Spider-Man is too buddy-buddy with the police. And there was another article that also talked about this. I'm not going to bore you guys with the entirety of the article, but if you do want to read it, you can go ahead and read it. If you feel like having the immediate urge to go to the bathroom and maybe vomit out your lunch, or maybe get some kind of diarrhea contagion from... What the fuck is this? Like a master's thesis on how this game should be more political? Jesus fuck. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that I've been noticing this for quite some time now. Whenever there's a big profile game that comes out that has any amount of success, because here's the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing about this is that you don't see them talking about these things in video games that are not as successful. You only see them bring up these stupid, idiotic, moronic articles whenever the video game is really successful. And you know why? The reason why they do it is because in smaller games, they would not be able to spread their message. It's because the big games are the ones that have impact. Like, you could find shit like this about God of War when God of War came out, except it would be about misogyny and male toxicity and all these other terms that these people like to use. By the way, this author is also the same author that completely spurred out whenever it came to that joke that Cyberpunk 2077 did. She also like, fucking transphobic, blah, 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 blah. All that nonsense. This is the exact same author that said all of that crazy nonsense. But it's like, by the way, don't harass this person because that just gives them ammunition to come back and, oh, the way that gamers are so toxic and they're harassing me. Like, fucking leave them be in their little bubble and she'll be fine. She'll survive. But it's just like, what bothers me about articles like this, right, is the fact that reporters like this, reporters, journalists, bloggers, whatever they call themselves, what I'm beginning to reach the conclusion of is that essentially these people don't actually like video games. The only reason they are on video game reporting is because it's easy to get into. The barrier of entry when it comes to reporting on video games is extremely low. I mean, if you just think that someone like me with a relatively small YouTube channel, I can get review codes, you can imagine that the barrier of entry is not that high to doing video game reporting. And because of that, they then go on to video game reporting and they try to spread their message through there, because what they really want to is they want to be on political reporting. They want to be reporting on politics. The problem is that in order to do that, you actually have to know what the fuck you're talking about, and nobody takes them seriously in the political arena Therefore, they just kind of come down to video game land. They're like, oh, this is a good place. People read my things. Now I will talk about the big issues of society. Nobody fucking cares what you have to say. Nobody fucking cares about your or my political stance. Nobody cares. You know what we care? Is the video game good? Did you have fun when you were playing the video game? Or were you too busy being oppressed by the Oscorp towers and their lack of a political message? Come the fuck on. It's ridiculous, dude. It is extremely ridiculous. Danny the Consumer, it's very specific for speculation, but you just look. Like, you just look at the pattern of news that you get whenever there's a big title. Like, I can guarantee you there will be political articles like this when Red Dead Redemption comes out. They will be talking about issues like sexism and misogyny and how the game is extremely sexist and how it portrays a poor message of America in the olden days. Just you wait. There will be thousands of political articles like that. And you want to know why? Because Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be a massive fucking game. And they're gonna milk it for all its political worth. That's what they're gonna do. And it's disgusting. Because what we want is we want them to tell us, oh, did you have fun when you played the video game? Did you like the video game? Were the graphics good? Was the gameplay good? And their concern is like, oh, it's so sexist. Come the fuck on. Bots and bot, I haven't had blood pressure issues ever since I began my diet. Ever. It's literally less than 10 people in the world. Their voice dies if we ignore them. No. There's way more than that, dude. I'm very sorry to tell you. There's way more than 10 people. And the problem is that their voices do not die down because they have a fucking army of people that is ready to go to bat for them and call everybody else sexist and misogynist. Because that's one of the problems of the internet. One of the major problems is the generalization and escalation. It's like someone sees someone that is toxic and immediately it's like, everybody like you is toxic. That's how Gamergate came about to be. It's like some fucking gamers somewhere were being sexist or whatever, and the gaming industry is like, all gamers are fucking sexist. It's like, come the fuck on. Stop generalizing. That's dumb. It's fucking dumb. Which is why I'm not saying that this is the entirety of the gaming industry. No. This is a small subsect of people, to be honest. But they're a very vocal subset of people, and they're very annoying. And the problem is that their voices are actually getting heard. And games are being negatively influenced by them. Anyway, let's talk about something cooler. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of space games. I'm a huge fan of space games, and there is a space game that I've never really finished, but I enjoyed quite a bit. That space game is called Rebel Galaxy. And if you guys never played it and you have a chance to play it, I would highly, highly recommend it. Now, the cool thing about Rebel Galaxy is that it's got a fantastic fucking soundtrack. It's got some really good ideas behind it. And as a matter of fact, the developers behind this, I forget their name. I think it's called Double Damage or something. Their channel is called Rebel Galaxy. But the developers behind this particular game, a couple of years ago, they actually went to EA and they said, hey guys, we want to do a Star Wars themed space shooter. And EA looked at it and they were like, can we put some microtransactions on it? No, it wasn't like that. But basically EA looked at the game and they're like, no, we're not interested. The game looked fucking amazing. Anyways, that never turned out to be, so they improved the Rebel Galaxy game. Now, it is important to mention that Rebel Galaxy, when it came out, let me see if they have some actual footage of the original here that I can showcase for you guys. Have a beer on us, Rebel Galaxy trailer. You guys are going to get me in trouble with Content ID match, aren't you? Come on, show me some gameplay. Okay, here you go. So you see right here, the thing about Rebel Galaxy is that there was no Y-axis. So your ship would only move sideways. Like, think of it almost as the naval combat of Assassin's Creed, right? You're all in sea, and then you just fire broadsides and shit like that. They even have broadside cannons in this game, right? But it was really, really cool. I really, really liked the game. And the cool thing about it, I was trying to show you more gameplay, but here you go. A little bit of broadside action there. But ultimately, the cool thing about it is that their new game, Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, they're getting rid of this limitation on the y-axis. You can actually play it like a traditional space sim. And this is what this guy is talking about. Let me lower the volume. I'm going to talk over you a little bit. Don't take it personally, dude. I love your fucking video game. I think it's amazing. So he's talking about how people wanted to be able to move the ship freely without actually having the thrusters constantly going. So, for instance, if you have a ship, right, and you have the thrusters constantly going, you would have to turn, and then your ship would start moving forwards as you turn, right? However, if you can completely ignore the ship's thrusters and stuff like that while you're moving, you can gain momentum on the ship and then just flip it sideways and go like, you know? And basically they wanted to have that degree of freedom. And the developers were like, oh, you guys want that? Sure thing. Boom. They just implemented it into the game. So now you can do that kind of circle strafing. And I believe he shows it here. Come on.
Now that we're here, let's show that other feature. The ability to cut your inertial dampening. I can hold the throttle down key at any time, and it'll cut it.
So basically, as you can see, the ship is now going backwards.
Now, I can still also
which is really cool.
while I'm doing this, so I can effectively circle strafe.
See? There you go. Circle strafing. And the game just looks friggin' cool as hell. Now, I don't think this is as sandboxy as something like an Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is much more sandboxy than this. But this game does have more of a story to it. At least the previous one had. And so far, the gameplay looks really good. They also said that this game supports HOTAS, so I'm pretty hyped about it. Anyway, I just wanted to share this this little bit with you guys. It's not like there's been a whole lot of more news that I had to talk about. I forgot to mention that during shows like this, you guys can tweet at me if there's a specific article that you would like me to cover. But as it turns out, nobody really tweeted at me today. I don't know if there's anything you guys would like me to cover in chat. If you do, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes if there's something that you'd like me to talk about. A lot of people talking about Anthem on Anthem on the chat. And it's like, look, here's my thoughts on Anthem, okay? I will play Anthem, and then I will tell you about it. Because right now there's a lot of people that are basically capitalizing on like, oh my god, Anthem's sinking. Like I've talked about Clean Prince Gaming in a previous video, for instance. In his channel, you'll find a video where it's like, oh, Anthem's actually doing great. And then a couple of months later, oh, Anthem is a fucking garbage, toxic dump. And it's just like, no, you can't fucking say that without actually playing the game. You know, it doesn't work like that. Like, we've seen Eric's actually play the game, and he said the gameplay actually feels pretty fucking solid. So if the gameplay is solid, and there's no shady monetization bullshit in the game, why isn't the game good? You know? We don't know. Which is why I'm saying I'm gonna wait until I play the game myself. Dwarf Heritage Armor is obtained in Old War. Does the guy who had the idea deserve a raise? All the money! All the money, Jankies 007. You give that man all the fucking money. Because not only he did Dwarven Heritage Armor, it takes place in my favorite instance in the fucking game. I hope you take this to heart and consider this next thing I saw. As a friend, I beg you to consider this. What? What? Talk to me. Talk to me, Danny. What do you want me to consider? Talk about Nintendo Online. I haven't gotten to play around with it yet, to be honest. It's pretty cheap, which is a good thing. But ultimately, I haven't really used it yet, so I can't do too much commentary on it. Rurikhan, I think you will like the game. You're a cool guy. You're talking about Anthem? Maybe. Thoughts on Necopara Volume 3. Okay, am I going to regret Googling that? I probably am. But I'll do it anyways because I'm a nice guy. Necopara Volume 3. Patisserie La Soleil, run by Kashu Minaduki, is flourishing thanks to the help of two cat girls, Maple, full of pride and a little on the naughty side, and Cinnamon, an impulsive daydreamer. Oh, I see what this is. Anime, sexual content, nudity, cute, story rich. I'm actually happy that these games are finally able to be on Steam. Legitimately, like, I am full against censorship. So it's like, while something like this doesn't really interest me all that much as a gamer, I'm sure it's got an audience out there, especially in Japan, because we see a lot of this stuff coming out from Japan. I'm not trying to like racial profile or be racist. I'm just saying you usually see a lot of these kinds of games in Japan, and there's definitely a market for it. So I'm glad it's there. I'm happy. It should definitely be allowed to exist, especially if it's polished. Like, it looks polished from the footage that I'm watching. If it's polished, it's got good animations, it's got good gameplay, it should definitely be there. I mean, God knows that Steam puts all kinds of fucking trash on there. So why not have a polished game that has an adult theme? Sounds good to me. Con, I'm personally fine on DMC microtransactions that don't affect gameplay or anything. It doesn't matter. I've went at length about that. It doesn't matter. But what about Anthem in comparison to BioWare Heritage? I mean, Anthem is a very different game from what we've gotten from BioWare, so I don't know how I feel about that. Rurikhan, what do you think of the arch-tempered monsters in Monster Hunter World? Gidzor, there will be a video later where I will talk about that. I've already recorded it. I just need to record some background footage, and I will be putting that video later today. So you can expect a full video talking about that stuff. You think Black Ops 4 Blackout will be a one-year thing? Of course. Because they're going to do another Call of Duty whatever next year. Because that's how that thing works. After Battlefront 2, I doubt EA is eager to do any more shady stuff. We don't know. The developers are trustworthy and they mean no harm with these. Jetstream Matt, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's a bad look. And if it makes the players feel bad, why even have it there? That's the whole point. If EA had given people what they wanted, Battlefield would be fine. Destiny 2. Carlos Mondragon, I talked about Destiny 2 at the start of the stream. I'll probably play it. I'll probably even stream it, but I know that a big portion of you guys doesn't want to see that. In terms of those SJW stories, 100% of my personal experience over the last decade comes from people cover these stories. These stories never made it to me without a YouTuber covering the story. I would love to ignore it, but it's that old saying, when good men do nothing, evil is already won. That's the way that I look at it. It's like, I'm not going out of my way to find these things. You'll only ever find me talking about this when it's about video games that I actually care about. I'm not going out of my way looking for this SGW nonsense. It just shows up. That's the problem. And it populates my feeds. Like, I have news feeds to keep track of things that I care about in order to talk about it with you guys. And those feeds get inundated with that bullshit. So it's like, it's impossible not to see it. News about how the Ironbreakers came to be. Ironbreakers are you guys, the community. Everyone that follows me and that interacts with me and even plays with me from time to time. You are the Ironbreakers. There's nothing super exclusive about it. We even have a Discord if you guys want to go hang out there. You people complaining about microtransactions are just sad. Care to elaborate, Lugent? What do you think of Warframe? Warframe is a fantastic fucking video game. Play this game, Ruri. Of course, Baven B would want me to play the Necopara game. Yeah, I did see your comment, Danny. Janky007, have you tried World of Warcraft WoW fronts? They're not great. They're not very good. I did not like Warfronts one bit. They're just Not to mention that, you know what bothers me also about Warfronts is that you always get loot when you do a Warfront. Always get loot when you do a Warfront. I can do a full Mythic Plus dungeon and not get one fucking thing. That's ridiculous. Because you know what's the investment of me doing a Warfront? Is pressing one fucking button. I don't even have to fucking be there to get loot. That's how bad it is. And then you do a Mythic Plus and you get this. And it's like, I'm sorry. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Rurikhan, the Warhammer action game. Whoa, what Warhammer action game? Tell me more about this Warhammer action game. Have you played Let It Die, Elijah Thompson? Yes, I have. I thought it was a great game, but the fact that it was free to play turned me off to it. It had a lot of time-gated stuff and a lot of other things, and I didn't like it. Microtransactions are nothing bad in a high populated online game, not a single-player game. Microtransactions are not bad if they're cosmetic. Period. It's like you can even have them in a single player game if you want to, if they are cosmetic. Even though I don't like that, I would be more accepting of them that way. Not to mention that just because you have cosmetic microtransactions, it doesn't mean that it's a free pass to not give your players cosmetic items. Monster Hunter World made sure of that. Monster Hunter World is like, we got cosmetic microtransactions, but we will still give you cool outfits that you can get. Like, you see this outfit right here, the Harvest Layered Armor Set? It's a seasonal outfit that you can get during the Autumn Harvest Festival, right? It's the perfect thing that you could sell for microtransactions. And Capcom's like, no, here it is for free. And then they'll sell you the cosmetic suit for the handler, which is, in terms of gameplay impact, 0. It's just, oh, I like the goth handler, so you can have that suit for her if you want. But completely and utterly optional while still giving you cool shit. That's the important part of it. Every microtransaction that affects gameplay is garbage, yeah. And Warframe is actually... It's like I'm more accepting of it in Warframe because it's a free-to-play game. You don't have to pay for anything, and you can craft everything with in-game stuff. So in Warframe, I'll be like, oh, all right, I see. You guys got to make your money somewhere, you know. So in Warframe, I'll accept some of the stuff. I don't necessarily like it, but I'll accept it, and I'll even still say that Warframe is a fucking fantastic game because there's shit tons of value when you play Warframe. Period. There's just shit tons of value when you play Warframe for free. So, in there, it's all right. Rurikhan, this one. Let's see what this is. Kegrin coming in with the hot news. Warhammer Chaos Bane gameplay looks a lot like Diablo.
Peggy 18.
Oh. Is this fantasy? This is fantasy Warhammer. I thought you'd be talking about like 40,000 Warhammer 40k. Yeah, this is an Imperial character for sure. Where's can I be an Ironbreaker? Can I be an Ironbreaker? See, here's my problem with these games is that very rarely they live up to be as good as a Diablo game. That's the problem. And usually the developers are not very good at creating like a good multiplayer environment. Because the thing about the Diablo games is that you always have BattleNet, which kind of ensures that there's less cheating. I'm not going to say that it's 100% cheater proof. It's never going to happen. But at least they have that environment there that does limit cheating to a certain extent, and they do enforce player bans and stuff like that. Whereas most other games that have this is the fucking Wild West when it comes to multiplayer, right? But I like it. I like it. Looks good. Rory, have you tried Dead Cells? It's great, man. Yes, I have a video on Dead Cells in the channel, actually. Is there a search function? Oh, not on YouTube Gaming. God damn it. YouTube Gaming, why are you so... Ugh. But I've done it. Like, if we scroll down enough in this playlist, I'm sure we'll find it. It's probably close to here. It was close to Absolver. Here it is. See? Dead Cells gameplay first impressions. I played it a year ago. And I know it's gotten a lot of patches, a lot of cool stuff. I actually am thinking about buying it for the Nintendo Switch because it looks really good. So how do you feel about buying weapons and stuff on Warframe? Already talked about that. So microtransactions were in DMC4. No. They were in DMC4 Special Edition. Not on the original one. Not on the original one. It's not okay. I thought they closed down YouTube Gaming. I believe it's May of next year. Maria, have you taken a look at the Pathfinder Kingmaker yet? Nope. Absolver is getting a next patch, and Absolver is cool. Ironbreaker's Death Stranding trailer reaction. You need to play Original Sin 2 already. Stream it so we can enjoy it with you. I don't know, dude. It's... I like the game a lot, but I'm not sure if it's something that people would watch. Rui, have you kept your ear on Torchlight Frontier? I've seen a couple of things about it. Again, same thing that this one. It's an action RPG, and I'm not sure if they're going to provide a good multiplayer environment. So we'll see. Is it mandatory that you have to pay to get upgrades in DMC5? No. No, it's not. You can play through the game without using the thing according to what they're saying. How they're going to balance how fast you can get abilities, though, will remain to be seen. And some people are saying that, oh, but the version that I've played in the thing, it was fine. And it's like, yes, you need to understand, as someone that has been to trade shows and cons and stuff like that, usually the versions they put there for you to play are a lot easier and a lot simpler and a lot more bloated values than final versions so that you can go through it super fast. I've watched like 7 playthroughs of Affinity. I would love to see your choices. I've heard about Bowsette. For those of you who don't know what that is. Needs another T, right? Wait, did I type it wrong? Bowsette. Am I typing it wrong? Oh, it doesn't have an E? Just like this. They made a mix of Bowser with Peach. And you get Bowsette. This is gonna get a lot of Rule 33 shit real fast, 34 shit real fast. Like, look at that. Boom. Straight up. The lewd looks. There you go. That's how fast you go. From this to this. Welcome to the internet, motherfucker. Oh, man. Of course. There's probably porn of this shit. Like, Pornhub sees this shit trending. Just you wait. Like, look at it. Look at this one. What's wrong? Too hot to handle? I gotta be careful here. I have safe search turned off, so some weird shit might pop up that might be a little bit too much for YouTube to handle. YouTube's just not gonna be having anything of that. Oh, there's porn of it, all right. Of course Of course there is, dude. Great to see a load of 200 viewers with low IQ watching. Good luck, Lugent. Maybe, just maybe, we're not the ones that are wrong. I don't know. Hey, you don't need to delete his message. Let him be. It's fine. Everybody's free to express their opinion. I don't censor people. I'm all for free speech. I think he should be allowed to say what he has to say. However, there are consequences, and a lot of people are going to point and laugh at you because you're someone who's coming in here being like, Devil May Cry's 5 microtransactions, it's fine. Yeah, sure. Sure, microtransactions on a single-player game, they're fine. Allow me to disagree heavily. And by the way, you come in here saying that people have low IQ. Let me tell you something about IQ. I've done the IQ test. I believe I scored 126 when I did the IQ test. Right now, it'd probably be lower because I'm no longer in college. My mind is not as fresh on maths and mathematical logic as it used to be. But let me tell you something about the IQ test. IQ test is about your ability to solve mathematical problems and logical problems, which in my opinion is overall not necessarily a great source of determining what your intelligence actually is. It's a good way to determine how good you are at solving math problems and logical problems and stuff like that. Not necessarily a great way for you to, for instance, solve conflict or something like that between two people. Psychological problems. Or is that not a measure of intelligence? The IQ test is terrible for determining someone's intelligence. Just throwing it out there. One of the most intelligent people I know, Hengist, he's super intelligent in my book, super smart, and very good at motivating people. He's not very good at math. So he would probably score low on the IQ test. Still an extremely intelligent person. How does that work? So there you go. Wait, is Ruri literally Hitler? Hitler? No. Oh, man. With all due respect, I disagree with your IQ definition. That's fine. I disagree with your opinion on microtransactions. It's all good. Yeah, I know. It is flawed when yours is low. Mine is not low. As far as my understanding, 126 was above average at the time. So my IQ was not low. Like, what the fuck? Oh, man. Red Dead Redemption 2, you're going to play it, Ruri? Nope. Probably not. I mean, I might play it because I have friends that want me to play it. But it's not a game that I'm particularly interested in. I'm not a huge fan of Red Dead Redemption. I think the game itself is phenomenal and people are going to love it. But it's not really my thing. How does one take an IQ test, like, officially? I don't know. Depends on where you live if you want to make it official. Like, I just took an online one. And basically, the only thing official about the online one is that you have to solve it, I believe, within 1 hour. And then you just have the score from the 1 hour thing that you've done. Lugent, you do need to take a chill pill. But anyway, guys, if you don't want me to discuss anything else, McDavid, what does SJW stand for? Social Justice Warrior. Online tests don't really work for anything above 120 IQ. Well, I got 126. How the fuck does that work? Destiny 2 PvP is fun now. Yeah. Rest in peace, Paragon. Dude, I miss Paragon. Miss Paragon. Haven't gotten a Dota fix ever since Paragon died. I should start playing Heroes of the Storm a little bit more. Ruri, what are your thoughts on Darksiders 3 and Darksiders franchise? I love Darksiders 1, love Darksiders 2 even more. I think it's extremely underrated. I don't know how Darksiders 3 is going to be. That remains to be seen, because one of the reasons Darksiders 2 is so good is the art style, and what I've seen of Darksiders 3, they're going a bit of a different direction with the art style. Like the guy who did a lot of the art direction, I believe his name is Madureira. I forget the exact name, but he's the guy who's now working on that other turn-based RPG, Warbringers. I think it's Warbringers something. I've played that one too. But yeah, Ruri, when's Fortnite? Not happening. Never happening. Okay, listen, Lujan, I'm getting pretty tired of your shit. So, it's one thing if you want to have an intelligent debate. It's another thing when you just spend your whole time, like, insulting people in my chat, and that is not going to be tolerated. I will tolerate you having a different opinion. I will even tolerate you expressing it as in, nah, fuck all that shit. But I will not tolerate you constantly insulting people in my chat. So, you can fuck off. What do you think of the God Eater franchise? I like it. I think it's fun. I think Monster Hunter World just put that whole thing on a whole nother level, so it's hard to go back to that specifically, but it's still good times. Still good times. Praise the sun, Garl Vinland. But anyway, you guys, looks like we don't have a whole lot of more topics to talk about. I'll be trying to do these more often, because I do like talking about certain news, so long as there are news for me to talk about, things that I'm interested in discussing. I will try to do these. I will also eventually want to do stuff so that I can bring people in from Discord. Please have good mics when I do that, so that you guys can discuss certain topics with me if that's something that you would like to do as well. That sounds like it would be a good time. If you guys enjoy my content, remember, hit the like button. Helps out a lot. And subscribe, hit the bell notification icon if you guys are new, all that stuff. And see you guys on the next one. Peace out.